Hello friends, welcome back. I have two prevailing ideas for this video, so I will make sure to timestamp each point for simplicity's sake. I hope to explain as articulately as I can the situation behind Heelsvsbabyface blowing a gasket. I do not plan on showing you the video, as you can find it easily online, and because, well, I would wager to say you've already seen it about 100 times, so no need for me to play it again here. So let me get straight to the point. Az was not losing it because he is mentally weak. It is not just about pronouns either, and I'll get to that in a bit. Az was angry because the pronouns were just one of the many symptoms within the disease that we call wokeism, and that salvo of wokeism is what got him all riled up. Az wasn't out of his mind, randomly wigging out because he's unintelligent. He blew up because this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Meanwhile, the Rainbow Cult are using Az's outburst as an excuse to slander Az as an ill-tempered straight white male. This is to be expected of ideologically inconsistent liberals whose only venture in life is to seek and destroy without any remorse. Liberalism is an uncontrollable wildfire, scorching the earth beneath its fiery rage. It cares not for what it destroys, even if it's one of their own. Volition going under is simply a casualty of war, a noble sacrifice to their pious cause. To put things into perspective, the Rainbow Cult only sees an opportunity to exploit emotion for their own political gain. That's all the situation is, folks. A politically motivated smear campaign to convince their own ilk and other normies that people like Az, like us, are intellectually and emotionally inferior. Remember when they sit on the streets and caterwaul their collective discontentment with Trump being elected president? That is not considered unhinged behavior. No, it is to be perceived as morally righteous protesting. When someone like Az finally runs out of patience with the message, it is immediately used as cannon fodder to depict him as a petty homophobic tyrant. The hypocrisy is obvious, and they know it. Which brings me to my next point, in fact, a part 2 of sorts. Here's an article by Niche Gamer. They wrote this quick article demonstrating the relentless moral grandstanding of the Rainbow Cult. Well, as per the usual, really. The article goes on to tell us that Redditors, because who else would it be, were kvetching their dissatisfaction with a modder, who created a mod that race swaps a character in Baldur's Gate 3 from black to white. Which brings me to a recent discovery. Constantly pointing out the Rainbow Cult's flagrant hypocrisy has stirred a new thought process within me. And that thought process is, I am no longer convinced that these people are unintelligent. And I mean these people, I mean the Rainbow Cult. They're not intelligent. Instead, I am convinced now that these people know they are wrong. In other words, this is not about intelligence. This is about intent. They fully comprehend that they are wrong, but they choose to act defiantly against basic logic. Here's how I know this to be true. This is my example. Look at this Reddit post. It was actually a reply, but I digress. Side note, I blocked the dude's name because it was a little perverted, and I like to keep this channel clean. You know the drill. Here's the quote. I checked their profile, and all 6 of their mods are just replacement mods to turn black people into white people. Like we don't see that in Hollywood, right? So, this person was intelligent enough to assess a situation, do minimal research, and come to a conclusion based upon his findings. You know, the scientific method, basically. This is proof that these people can use critical thinking. The point I'm trying to make is simply this. We have since long passed the era of, may the better argument win. We are not debating anymore. This is a cultural war. I would be more specific and give you my honest opinion that this is a religious war, but really, to put it simply, this is not about who has the better argument. Christians have the Bible, and the Rainbow Cult have the message. Even though arguments are basically irrelevant these days, I can't help it but create more arguments because, well, despite my flaws, I am still a fairly logical person. So here's something else I noticed about the situation. The Rainbow Cult racists complain about a mod that is entirely optional. Emphasis on the word optional. And by no means mandatory, and had that mod removed. Sit back and marinate in the irony for a second. What irony, you might be wondering? The irony that the same halfwits demanding the removal of an optional mod that they don't have to download is also demanding that you accept pronouns that they claim are totally optional. Do as I say, not as I do. Am I right, Rainbow Cult? Imagine, if you will, a scenario whereby we force-fed anti-abortion talking points in every movie, video game, comic book, and, I don't know, hippie beatnik slam poetry open mic night. It would only take under a week before the purple-haired whale club would start throwing conniption fits and demanding the removal of all anti-abortion rhetoric in all of entertainment. Unfortunately, we live in clown world, and since liberals lack the self-awareness of a toddler, I must be ashamed on their behalf. You know, kind of like how they are constantly offended on someone else's behalf. But there is good news, my friends. Be of good cheer. We finally have a Nexus mod alternative. Feast your eyes upon based mods. You want that mod that removes all the pride flags in Spider-Man? Well, Base Mods has it. You want that mod that removes the trans flag on Claire's truck in Cyberpunk? Well, they've got that too. This is the way forward. We need to be able to circumvent these freaks until we have rebuilt the desired ecosystem that we must also gatekeep fiercely. However, and I must admit, the only downside to finally having our own modding community is that we would still be funding these freaks. Well, that is, if you still adhere to the honor system. But that's all I can say about that. Like, subscribe, do all the happy social media stuff, and hit me up on Gab. I'm loads of fun. And until next time, everyone, you know what to do. Have fun.